actually in the screen?
Yep, you're right in the bullseye middle. And it's recording. I don't like it.
Why?
Because you're not smiling or anything.
Well, I'm not ready to shoot yet. Hey there, guys and gals. FG coming back at you again. Hey, this is second part of a project that started, I don't know, I guess a couple of months ago here at this point. Decided to try to add some, whatever you like to call them, pneumatic snubbers, accumulators, storage tanks, something of that nature. Anyway, the project was beset by a few problems along the way, and when I get over to the truck half of the video, where I'm actually outside and filming and showing you the parts, I'll go into a little more detail there. But it's it's been an interesting ride, both figuratively and literally. So without further ado, let me jump into part two, and we'll catch you on the flip side out in the parking lot. All right there, guys and gals, and any aliens who may be monitoring our terrestrial communications. As promised in the intro, here we are, I'm back. I'm going to give you a little bit of a view here of how the air tank project eventually evolved here. And evolving was definitely the probably the key word here. Let me zoom in a little bit here, give you a look at what's going on. Yeah, probably not the prettiest installation in the world, but got some bronze fittings here, and got this crossover pipe, and believe it or not, the crossover is actually a water supply pipe or hose or tube, whatever you'd like to call it, that actually is found at any local hardware store. This one came from Lowe's and is used for connecting an ice maker to a refrigerator. But it also works out very nicely as an air pipe, and found out that after getting everything fitted up and tightened properly from part one, as I'd mentioned, that leakage was a bit of a problem. Ended up rebuilding the whole thing, so as you can see, it's probably not the prettiest in the world. It kind of does a little bit of a loop turn here to get everything to fit. But the valve here, so right now this is in the open position, so both of the tanks are tied together, but they can be closed off by simply flipping that valve, and I can then put a differential pressure one side to the other to balance out the suspension points if it finds out that after adding a load the truck is leaning to one side or the other. So that all went together pretty well, and I'm now going to move around to the other side and show you the hammer mount and how all the other piping came out. Okay, so here we are over on the other side now. This is the back side of the same tank, so you can see pointing in that direction. Come on over here, and you can see the fittings here, and two more of the ice maker braided stainless connections. So if I zoom in here a little bit on this side, let me bring to your attention right here with the fittings. If I zoom in underneath this elbow, you'll see what looks like some kind of mud or something there attached to the pipe. And let me give you a little explanation on what was happening there. As I'd mentioned in video one, I had all the fittings that I wanted, and I had them all hooked together real nice, and I thought that everything was going to be good, and then found out it was leaking at just about every joint. So I ended up taking everything apart and redoing it with heavy-duty Teflon tape, and everything went quite well there, except for this one connection point right here. So the problem that you get with one of these is when you start taking the fittings apart to try to fix one leak, more than likely you're going to create another one. So everything else was good. I sprayed some soapy water on it to find out where the little bubbles were escaping to give me a vantage point on what my problem was, and narrowed it down to that one fitting there. Was still having a very small leak, and it seemed like no matter what I did to turn around and try to crank these guys down, that they were still leaking. So yeah, when I first jumped into the dove head first, or however you'd like to describe it, into this project, it ended up being a little bit more than I had expected. Actually, it ended up being a lot more than I expected. This thing's been rebuilt and torn apart at least 4 times. So given that, I decided to get 2-part epoxy, and this particular epoxy is kind of like a clay-like material. It's very stiff, so it doesn't run down like a gel type, and I figured that would probably be the best thing to do in this particular case. So basically what you do with that, it just comes in a tube, and you just put on a pair of nitrile gloves and then just knead the material until it achieves a consistent color. The outside is like a light gray, and the interior is black, and that's the 2 parts that mix and create a chemical reaction, and they harden in about 5 minutes, and according to the manufacturer, in about an hour you can actually drill and tap this stuff. So it's pretty tough according to their label. So that's basically what I did to get rid of that last pesky leak. So I really didn't want to tear everything apart again, because as I had mentioned, it seems like every time you do that, you fix one thing and break something else. And I just honestly was just kind of really tired of dealing with it. That I would put air in the bags, and over a course of several days they would start going down, and then eventually they would leak out completely and they would have zero pressure. So now I've been sitting for about a week, and my measurement earlier today looks like everything is good. It does not appear to have any more leakage. So I'm going to call this project a win. So given all the headaches that I've endured, you're probably asking the $64,000 question: was it worth it? Well, I'm going to say yes, with a caveat. It was a lot of headaches, and like I said, I don't know if too many people are really going to want to go through all of this, because it was kind of a real pain in the rear, way more than I had anticipated. But from an operational standpoint, they are a success, I would say. The bags themselves have a pretty small air volume, and so when you go over a bump or articulate, that air pressure changes rather rapidly because the volume is so small it really has no place to go. Here I've added a total of 1 gallon plus whatever the airlines are holding, which is probably very little in comparison. But definitely the snubbing action is definitely noticeable, I would say. Do find that crossing speed bumps and uneven driveways don't get pogo effect in the rear like it used to, where the rear suspension basically felt like it had zeroed out, and you were riding a Harley hardtail and bouncing all over the place. So from that aspect, I would say yes, it was worth it. From all the headaches getting there, I don't know. So this is one of those things that you're happy when it's over with, and then you can laugh about it. But when you're in the middle of it, it's sometimes not so much humor value to be found. So anyway, thank you again for tuning in, and I want to thank everybody who's been catching the videos, and hopefully you catch this video as well, that we just passed 35,000 views. I believe it was yesterday. So it's been a year-long journey. Started the channel on the 29th of February last year, And so thank you to everyone who's subscribed and has been watching, and we certainly hope to be bringing you more content in the near future. Hopefully in the very near future. Spring is finally rearing its head out here in Maryland. It looks like pretty soon we should have some decent weather. So it should be time to get back to producing some off-road videos again, which, and really if you think about it, what was the point of half of the modifications that I've done to this truck? That's pretty much what they're for. So unless I'm just building a poser mall crawler here, it's time to get out and really use it, and that's what I'm waiting for. Definitely anticipating it. Very happy the weather's changing, and should be bringing you some good footage very soon. So everyone have a great day, and I will catch you on the flip side. FG out.